I told my boyfriend that I'm no longer interested in marriage. Throwaway account. I, 33F, have been in a 10-year relationship with my boyfriend Carl, 33M. After the first year of our relationship, I made it very clear that I intended to be a wife someday. By the time I was 28, I started to remind him of my goals and expectations, and Carl told me that while he knew he wanted to marry me, he just wasn't ready yet and didn't like how I was pressuring him and called me controlling. Eventually we broke up, but 6 months later we got back together and even moved in. Looking back on it now, I realized that that wasn't the best decision, but I was so emotionally attached to this man and felt so invested that I was willing to go back to him. Carl and I have now been living together for 4 years, and while I stopped being happy about it after the first 6 months, living with him isn't a bad experience. Plus, I always thought that us getting married was just around the corner, because he said he was ready to commit to me, but he wanted to wait for the right time because I deserved a perfect proposal and a more stable husband. I've been going to therapy for the past 2 years and recently had an epiphany. Since childhood I have always wanted a wedding but never really gave much thought to being a married woman 24/7 and what that would mean. Given my country's shift in politics and new laws that politicians are trying to pass, I realized that not only am I fine with never getting married, but I'm starting to lean more into no longer possessing the desire to do it. Since then it feels like I've been set free in a way and started focusing on myself. One of the major things that I've done is tell Carl that I'll no longer assist with babysitting his nephews and niece and instead focus more of my time into getting certified in something to increase my earning potential and just relaxing. Carl seemed nonchalant about it at first, but then said that we needed to have a sit-down when I sent Carl's mom and his brother a text that they had 3 weeks before I stopped helping out completely. Carl said that while he understands my desire for more personal time, it's important to be there and sacrifice for family. I told him that he could switch around his own work schedule and help with the kids since they're technically his family, and he said that the children love me and that one day they'd be my family too once we were man and wife. It was in that moment that I told him that I no longer desired marriage, and while I gave my reasons, Carl still took it as me wanting to break up with him and or thinking that he would make a terrible husband. That is not the case at all, but he's starting to lash out and get suspicious, and I just don't know what to do. How can I get my boyfriend to see that it's me, not him?
Relevant comments. Slow, Confection, 3110. I am curious what Carl's mom and brother required your help with that you needed to give 3 weeks notice that you would no longer be helping with? Was it the niece and nephew's childcare or something more?
OP. Carl's brother has 50-50 custody of his children, but childcare after school is expensive where we live, so his mom was initially watching the kids, but it was getting to be too much, so I offered to help out, and it's been that way for about 3 years. I don't feel right just quitting on something like this without notice and wanted to emotionally prepare the kids that they may not see me as often as before.
Lidawoahoho. A perfect proposal? That's an excuse to put it off as long as possible. He has strung you along. I think you're trying to convince yourself that you don't want to be married. The blasé attitude towards anything related to you as a couple, doing things to help family for example, is your way of detaching. I don't understand why, if you're not concerned with the commitment, you're worried about how your boyfriend views it? He's lashing out, not because you have conceded defeat when it comes to marriage, he's lashing out because you're not doing what he expects you to do. Play happy family. You need to help him out. His needs. Again, his needs. His priorities. Not yours. For 10 years, he has had excuses why he hasn't proposed, and now that you've dropped it, he's suspicious. You spent 10 years worrying about his feelings, and what has he given you? I'll repeat it. He's strung you along. He's fine with things as they are, as long as you're helping. I'm sure that's not the only instance where you help. You probably do all the wife duties.
OP. I feel like I need to take some responsibility for the perfect proposal thing. As a child I really loved the fairy tale weddings that I would see in movies, and I told my boyfriend that that was what I wanted in terms of a proposal and a wedding. I really wanted the princess treatment, so when he said he wanted to wait for the perfect proposal, he was kind of falling in line with my expectations.
BleakAZ7. This post is so American it reeks LMAO. For the record, being married or not should not make a difference in a relationship. Marriage is just a celebration and a way to make paperwork easy. You being asked to babysit has nothing to do with being GF or wife, and you can deny it and focus on your own things no matter which one you are. You don't owe it to them, no matter if you are family or not. Which again has nothing to do with being married or not, but how bonded you are to them. If you wanted to get married so bad, you should have been the one proposing to him. If you are one of those cavemen that think only men can propose, that's on you. Then he has to make the decision, and if he denies, well, you are free to do whatever you want after that, since you know his stance already. If you want something, you can't be a passive object, but an active one. Honestly NTA, but this sounds like a 1950 TV drama, and I find everyone involved to be kinda pathetic.
OP. I am an American, so good job on that. Going back to my epiphany moment, I really fell in love with the idea of a dream wedding, and that's what I always wanted. Me proposing to a man would wreck the fantasy I used to cherish. Like I said before, I never thought about what it meant to be a wife every single day, and I wasn't sure that it's something I want in life. Especially now that there are a lot of politicians who are trying to create new laws surrounding marriage and divorce that I don't feel would make me feel like being legally married is worth it. Update. Hello everyone. Sorry for taking so long, but a lot has happened and I ended up forgetting about this and focusing on other things. Then I saw a notification from a recent DM, so I thought I'd give an update. Okay, so things were a little tense over the next few days because we were either fighting or just not talking to each other. He even moved into the spare bedroom one day and he stopped giving me money for his share of the streaming services that we both use and I technically pay for. I even but to mute his mama and brother for a little bit. Then once Valentine's Day was right around the corner, he did a complete 180 and started speaking to me again and even apologized for his initial reaction and seemed really receptive to hearing my reasons. He told me he planned a special day for us the weekend after Valentine's Day, which I was delighted to hear. On the day of, I woke up to him gone but with breakfast laid out for me and a text message saying that there was work emergency and that he had to go in for a couple hours and told me to go meet him at the movie theater downtown by 3 p.m. I thought cool. I chilled for a bit, then got ready and headed out. By 2:55 p.m. I sent him a text message asking where he was and responded by saying he accidentally typed the wrong time and that the movie wouldn't start until 5 p.m. and he meant was that he wouldn't be able to leave work until 3 p.m. He's had a case of fat fingers and butt dials before, so I initially didn't think much and just decided to go walking around by outlet close by to kill time. Then I got another text saying that he'd change our online ticket reservations because he was still stuck at the office and to just chill until 7 p.m. This time I grew suspicious, but instead of calling or texting back with questions, I just gave him a thumbs and sent a selfie of me at one of my favorite stores, then started to drive back home. Normally getting back to our apartment from the downtown area where I was at around this time of day on a weekend can be a bit of a challenge, but today traffic was decent. Then when I pull up to Complex, I see a moving truck. No big deal, January/February is when a lot of people have moved out or in before, so I understood. Why did I see some of Carl's friends near the truck? Why did I see some of Carl's friend moving the couch that I paid for into the truck? I called the police and told them that I was actively being robbed. I stayed in the car for a while trying to calm myself down until I saw Carl helping a man load my bookshelf into the back of his pickup truck. I got out and confronted him. This man was trying to keep me out of the apartment all day so he could quietly move out and take my furniture. And I say my furniture because I was the one who picked it all out and paid for most of everything, and I readily shared the email confirmation order number, /receipts that I had archived when the police showed up. The man tried to take my bookshelf because apparently Carl had sold it to him, but that wasn't my problem and that I'd press charges on everyone if my stuff wasn't back in my place. We got into a huge argument and the police tried to brush this off as a civil matter since Carl and I lived together, but I went into the station the next day and spoke to a female officer who was of better help. My dining room set, spices, blender, groceries, lamps, TV, coffee table, and mattress were gone, but Carl's friends did put back the couch, which was a pull-out. The middleman between my landlord and me did speak to Carl about wanting to take his name off the lease but did not follow the proper protocol and confirming with me that I would take on full responsibility of rent, so I did file a complaint. I ended up leaving the complex and moving somewhere else and pressed charges against Carl and his friends, if only to create a paper trail and help in my civil case against my ex. In the end I was able to get some financial compensation for what I lost and he has until November to pay it all. I wasn't even sad that he didn't want to be with me anymore, just pissed off at how he tried to go about it. It is very clear that he wanted to punish me, and I'm so glad that I never ended up marrying this man. I completed my certification, got a promotion and the pay raise that comes with it, and my dad has agreed to give me the money he was saving for my future wedding as a down payment for house. After this entire experience I am now 10 toes down in never getting married. Also, as a side note, since Carl's brother couldn't provide consistent child care on his days, the mother filed for full custody and now Carl's brother pays child support.